countrymen, neighbors, Cameron, Rachel, and Eric are here tonight to set you free with the truth. Polytechnic is incomprehensibly bad. The worst school is just so terrible. And I hate it so much. So I've got this one student named Gordon, okay? And Gordon in this class where they have a rule that he can't discuss any of his essay topics with anybody or reveal them to anybody, or else he'll get in trouble, be accused of cheating or something. Of course, this is not any kind of sane understanding of how education should work. Not even remotely. Like, it is the case that because the current education system, prioritizes or views itself, functions as a grade delivering system, to get good grades and pass certain kind of standardized tests to go to college or whatever. And so they implicated this rule in order to prevent people from cheating, from getting tutors to write their papers for them or something. Of course, the problem is if you're going to have anything that could meaningfully be called an educational process about writing an essay about, I don't know, say certainty versus justice in jury verdicts, then what you're doing really is you're trying to insulate your own shittiness from public view. This teacher can't meaningfully help any students with any of their essays at all if this teacher is so stupid that they assign an essay topic which asks the students to contrast values that aren't both values. One of which is necessarily operationalized to define the other, and to treat them as equal objects of analysis of the same level of framing, and to ask the students to write an essay which should be prioritized in jury verdicts is fucking insane. It's a horrible, horrible topic. And then I put up a little video about it, and I get a phone call from somebody named Gordon who says, "Don't put up this video because I'm going to get in trouble for my school." So, needless to say, I was pissed. And now I'm live streaming accordingly. Because how dare those fucking fucks? It's like, who wouldn't want to talk to somebody else about this incomprehensible prompt? Should juries prioritize justice or certainty in jury verdicts? It's incomprehensible. Gordon is my new client, brand new client that I just got. He goes to the same school as Jeffrey. And he's even in the same class and got the same assignment. Anyway, Gordon was talking to me about it. So I just was starting to read your comment when he called me and said, "Take down this video." And he told me to edit out the beginning part of it. But I don't want to deal with that hassle, so I just took it down, rant about it on the internet. He's worried about incurring harms for having a discursive engagement with a topic he's assigned to write about in school. Because it's against the rules. They're not supposed to reveal Polytechnic materials or whatever to anybody, or else you get in big trouble or something. Really, it's just they don't want to be critiqued. They don't want to be subject to legitimate critique, these teachers. They want to operate in their little vacuum and not be judged or evaluated by anybody else, not be held accountable by anybody else to any fucking reasonable standard. These fucks. So anyway, I don't think that's a realistic possibility of him getting in trouble for it, because who's gonna watch my video, you know? But this is consistently a problem, not just at Polytechnic, at schools all over the country. You've got teachers who've been assigned to do like English class or whatever. They aren't smart people, they don't know what they're doing, and they end up just assigning gobbledygook like what Gordon got assigned, you know? And that's not cool. However, to balance out this bad news, I have awarded 5 Wonder Points to CBS.
Mm-hmm.
CBS, it turns out, is not constantly very shitty. Today, we went to get Rachel's medications, and this olanzapine, which we consistently been paying like $300 a month for. It's expensive, but she needs it, you know. Well, we went to go get it today, and they said it's gonna cost $600. I was just like, well, is that 2 months worth or what, you know? And he said, let me see if I can get a discount. And then he got it down to $20 from $600 to $20.
I'm just in shock. I still, even though they said like the price of everything, she's like $49. I'm like, oh, $490. Like, okay, like we'll take it.
Yeah. Again, Oliver Lightham, we cannot convert Wonder Points into hookers.
We're back to the hookers and coke again. Oh my god.
I didn't know this was a thing. I missed out on this.
Oh, well, when I was awarding Wonder Points on Wonder Point Wednesday,
Oh.
Ruben R. decided that they were fungible convertibly into hookers and coke.
Hookers and coke.
Yeah, I explained, no, just coke. Anyway, I was very proud of the CBS guy.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed. I guess I should say I was very impressed with him getting us that discount, because we have not paid less than like $300 for it ever before.
Yeah.
And today we paid $20 for it. So it makes you wonder, like, what kind of crazy system is going on here? That they run the price on this, it's $600. And they say, let me see if I can find an online coupon. And it's $580 off. What? I mean, what in the world is that? It just seems crazy. Anyway, he's this guy from Africa. He's kind of a stereotypical happy, friendly African. You know, welcome to CBS. And he does seem cool. Like a lady before us went up and said to him, how's my favorite drug dealer? And he said, fine, selling lots of drugs today.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, obviously they do. That's a genuinely great coupon.
Yeah.
And in fact, we also got my antacids for just like $1 or something, because I think we used your mom's CVS points.
Yeah.
It's reparations, Rachel. I got $10 off of it.
I heard reparations were like on the vote someplace again, like right now. I don't
They're
know.
not going to pass. It makes no sense. It can't possibly withstand scrutiny. There's no way that.
We'll get it too. If there's reparations, you could get it, right? Rachel can get it. I can get it. Isn't that the case?
Well, I mean, it depends what it's reparations for.
I thought there was like no means testing and no way to really.
Well, there is
determine
no
who
way to
the
determine
majority is.
someone's race, right?
Yeah.
But there, that's not the case with Native Americans because there's like a register of them that was started a long time ago. Um, so they can sort of legally establish that they're Indians by with their genealogy because the United States had the Bureau of Indian Affairs and because unlike race, Indians were different than people coming here from overseas because they were indigenous to the place.
Mhm. So the reparations being discussed now are for indigenous peoples, not for.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It
African
would
Americans?
depend on the specifics
Okay.
of the
I'm
law as
I'm
to
not
whether
sure
or
which
not
one it is.
everybody could get it or not. If it were for black people, then yeah, everybody would be able to get it because you just go and say, "Well, I'm part black."
Yeah.
And the reason those laws won't ever pass is because it makes it the mechanism is impossible. What are they going to say? You have to be 50% black? What does that mean, even? It's too explosively bad an idea for it to actually manifest because as soon as you try to put it into some sort of working practice, even in concept, you realize what a fucking clusterfuck of a disaster you've walked yourself into.
Mr. Bobby, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like Charlize Theron right now.
Mm.
African American.
Oh yeah, she is.
Yep. She ought to get it.
An octoroon, as far as I'm concerned, is watching 8 cartoons back to back to back.
That sounds good.
That's what I call an octoroon.
Ooh, that's a nice octoroon.
What if I have slave owning ancestors and ancestors who were slaves? Do I have to pay reparations to myself? Yes, you do.
Just wait till your taxes show like a special line that says reparations is like check for payment or receive. It'll just be the donation. Reparations donation? Would you like to pay 100 to reparation? Would you like to receive 100?
Would you like to donate to Hispanic Federation?
Hispanic Federation.
Well, I didn't give the 1 points directly to the pharmacist. I thought CVS itself deserved them after all of my bashings.
No, yeah, they definitely did. They hooked us up like big time. Like
Yeah, that's a happy enough surprise that I may even have under awarded them Wonder points. And I said on the way home, I'm like, hey, they got 5 Wonder points. That means they're at minus 995. But that's such a big happy surprise that maybe they cut their deficit by a third, put them down to 667 minus 667.
it's awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a lot of Wonder points.
Yeah, that is a lot of Wonder points. It I hope it goes into the next transaction.
Well, remember, I was happy with my last transaction with that same guy.
You were, yeah.
Even though, and Richard was surprised because he kind of like lectured me about smoking, but I didn't care about that because he was making a good effort to help me get my drugs when I was supposed to get them, as much of them as I could.
Yeah, he didn't.
He
didn't
had no
care at
like,
all.
yeah, there was none of that attitude that I seemed to get where it's like, well, you don't really need this drug. None of that from him, so I liked that.
No, he was very much like, no, you can get what we have now, and then call your doctor, and you can
fill it
the
in
rest of
early.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was encouraging, so that was
Yeah.
to me. I didn't care about his little lecture about smoking. He was kind of jolly about it anyway. So people can lecture me. Pharmacists can lecture me about that if they want. It's not going to bother me. I don't feel I don't feel subject to scolding in that capacity. You like how Gatorade is actually in the fridge in CVS, unlike grocery stores where they're just in an aisle. I'll tell you what splits the difference on that question is Arizona teas. Some supermarkets have them in a refrigerator. Some supermarkets do not. So, I'm glad you brought this important issue to the forefront of the conversation, though, Mr. Bobby. I really am. Because, in my opinion, the Arizona teas do not need to be in the refrigerator at the grocery store. Even if we might get them from a store and take it to the car lukewarm, they're fine lukewarm. Gatorade, on the other hand, has to be cold. You don't want to drink warm Gatorade. Ugh. You don't even really want to drink cold Gatorade, to be honest.
Yeah, Mr. Bobby, do you like go to the gym and then you go hit up CVS on the way home for those electrolytes, or how do you happen to just grab, that much Gatorade?
Yeah. Were you born an electrolyte hound? Were you born with a passionate love for electrolytes? They're what plants need. Let me change to live chat, by the way. So, yeah, Pasadena Polytechnic, you're incomprehensibly bad.
That's where Bailey went, Pasadena Polytechnic.
Did he?
Yep.
What, for middle school or something?
He went there before he started school in Arcadia, so by like seventh, I think he was still there in about seventh grade.
Incomprehensibly bad school. I've had nothing but terrible experiences dealing with their various essay topics and total lack of a debate coach on staff. Horrible place.
Bailey would come home with floppy disks, like the 3.5-inch floppies with like stolen computer programs, and be like a little maniacal, like, look at all these programs I stole today at school, sort of a guy.
Yeah, I was into that too.
Yeah, everybody I knew who could do that was just like all ripping everything. You get zip drives eventually and fill them with like Microsoft programs that you may or may not use.
Wow. Anyway, so, that made me mad. I don't like being told to take down my videos. I know it's not Jeffrey's fault, although I think his imagineering of harms, Gordon's fault, is ridiculous. But the thing is, it's obviously the school's fault for their stupid fucking rule. They don't get how education works. Like I was saying to Cameron and Rachel before we started the stream, there used to be this stupid woman who coached the speech and debate team at Jefferson Middle School in St. Gabriel. And she thought no, someone wanted me to take down a video put up right now because I named him in it in a way that he might get in trouble with his school or something. So anyway, I'm not mad at him. I'm mad at the school. There's a little bit of displacement there. I was mad at him, but I'm not really mad at him. Gordon didn't do anything wrong. Gordon is subject to the authoritarian bullshit of this horrible school. and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And it makes me mad. And of course, his family's calling me, asking me for advice about it, but they never take my advice because my advice is always go to war. And they're like, well, we don't want to go to war because we're just going to get like our kids are going to get extra punished by these horrible teachers because now we're the troublemakers. It's like, well, then, you know, you can't you can't win by interfacing more with these teachers. What they want is for you as a parent to not care what's going on. For you as a parent to not question whatever grade they're giving your kid, and for you as a parent to not demand any kind of transparent, referenceable external accountability metric of any sort, and for you as a parent to just never exist in their frame of reference. They also don't want the kids to be demanding answers for how to get an A or something like that because the kids supposedly aren't supposed to be worrying about that. They just worry about doing the work to the best of their ability. The teacher just grades them as the teacher feels like. But of course, nobody's going to school to learn things. They're going to school so they can go to more school. Well, I am mad at them. And when Eric's mad at something, he typically goes on the internet and complains about it. And that's what's happening right now. So, yeah, fuck schools so much. You just call them what they are, youth prison camps, and let's just stop wasting our money on public schools and private schools. Kids will just educate themselves with the internet. I mean, educate them up through 6th grade, right? Kids need grammar school. So they learn how to read and write and stuff,
Basics.
But then after that, people need to be able to specialize in things they're actually competent at rather than having an assortment of different teachers force their unconscious, like unaware frame bias onto the whole class and have it be just a succession of totally arbitrary, individuated frame biases, none of which are consistent with any of the others in the school, and then not want to explain themselves because they're not smart. It's a fucking nightmare. Well, good for you, Michelle. Good for you.
That is good.
The thing is, to the extent that people could bring back apprenticeship, that would be preferable in every instance to school. Again, after 6th grade or so. We'll keep the basic grammar school stuff because kids do need to learn grammar, although it's not taught properly. They need to learn, how to write complete sentences and punctuation. They need to learn basic math and up through like beginning algebra. So yeah, I think everybody needs to know that stuff. And they need to be introduced to, most importantly, what they're not being introduced to, civics classes. So they learn how to be good citizens, what it means conceptually. Instead, they're trying to be trained to be good citizens with school citizenship, which is just fucking so fucking backwards because how can you be a good citizen of an environment to which you're not a willing participant? You're not a citizen, you're a slave or a prisoner.
I sucked at math too, Mr. Bobby, like big time. I just like I guess well like I had bad teachers, like ones who were critical, and so like I rejected math.
I mean, the thing about what does good citizenship mean? It means practicing good civil discourse about public policy matters, not not falling trap to not falling in the boogeyman trap where you spend your political energies demonizing, blaming, otherwise personifying the problems in the status quo rather than actually talking about any specific problem with a specific solution. As Theodore Roosevelt said, complaining about a problem without proposing a solution is called whining.
Never heard that before.
I just saw the other day Winston's mom put it up as a quote.
That's a great quote.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Bobby, what's going on? That's a really good Teddy Roosevelt quote.
Yeah. Character traits, huh? You mean like having good character? Like that kind of thing? Like honesty, kindness, that kind of shit? That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I don't know if I'd call those character traits exactly, but traits of character.
When
Like don't masturbate in public.
It's a good character trait.
yeah, that's like something.
Number 2, citizenship. No jacking off in public. Just keep it in your room.
It's a 20-point plan. If you can do all these, we'll let you pass.
Yeah.
Everybody's taking notes, right? Bobby, what are you doing right now? Bobby,
Quick.
did you were not listening. You're breaking this rule right now. Oh, sorry, man. I didn't see it. Take right. Put your penis away and write it down.
That's great advice. That's great advice.
No hitting. That's a good one for character traits.
That is a good trait. No,
No hitting.
Well, like that includes punching, right?
Yeah, punching, slapping, nails, hair pulling, it all counts as hitting, I think.
Whoa. See that? Like,
Yeah, no hitting.
no hitting is a good rule.
Do some math.
Just
Good
you
character
gotta,
trait.
you gotta. Now, what about learning another language? Is that a good character trait?
Only if you pick the right language.
Yeah, only if you pick the right language.
Sorry if you picked French or Latin. No, Latin's good for those smarty pantses, but
Yeah, but for smarty pantses, where are they reading? I guess where are they reading Latin?
it helps them to understand other words. I don't know. It's a whole
Oh,
thing.
I
They
see.
teach it at places like Poly. My brother took Latin at Poly, I believe.
Oh wow.
Well, the Twilight series was originally written in Latin. That's where the craze came from originally, where people started learning a lot of Latin. Because the person who wrote Twilight, their native language is Latin.
The native tongue.
Twilight. For
They were-
real?
They were born in a family that only spoke Latin.
They stayed at a church. They only took out their earplugs on Sundays.
Oh my god. How about 50 Shades of Grey? Is that Latin too?
No, that was Ancient Greek, actually.
Oh, ancient Greek.
Turns
Yeah,
out that the Road Warrior series was written in Latin originally too.
Road Warrior, huh?
Yep.
The screenplays for the Road Warrior were written in
All
Latin.
in Latin.
Well, because the thing is, the Road Warrior wasn't even originally intended for Hollywood. It was a play that the monks put on
Yeah.
for their own entertainment at the monastery. And it was so good that a copy of the script of it got out to a Hollywood agent, and they said, "Oh my God, we have got to do this monk play as a movie."
We got the perfect guy for it. He's religious, you know.
And that's they had just been translated from Latin into English, obviously. Honest, competent, creative, compassionate, thrifty, equitable, meek, flexible, kind, determined. Meek, huh?
Meek in face of that big ass authority. Or God, maybe.
Is meek really a character quality that it should be
That needs
should
some
be
explanation.
should be advocated for? I don't really think that meek is
Meek?
yeah.
Yeah. What about modest? Instead of meek.
Okay. Yeah, well the meek shall inherit the earth. Means after all the strong people are dead, the meek ones can have it. Well, meekness in the eye of the Lord. Okay, well, he may define meekness differently than I did. Probably the connotation of meek has changed over the years. Um,
Oh, yes.
I don't think it's a good strategy to go through the world being meek with people.
Strauss, thank you.
You know, like,
Yeah.
can is that all right if that's what I think of as being meek.
I could be meek sometimes.
Satan walks the earth. He does. Is that just his exercise regimen, or is that how he gets his cardio? Just walking the earth.
So like, Jesus rose to heaven, and then the devil started to walk on earth.
Thank God that holy guy's gone. I'm walking. I'm Lucifer, and I'm getting my exercise, just like the doctor said I should. I'm losing size in my thighs. I'm Lucifer, and I'm walking the earth. Oh yeah. That's what he sings to himself as he's walking around. Does he use a regular walking path? Like, does he? Or does he walk the highways? Does he walk the streets? Just walk straight as the crows fly, like whether it's over ocean, land, mountains, whatever.
So instead of walking on the water, he like just walks through it.
Does he ever pause in his walking to take a selfie? Does he have an Instagram?
These are things that people want to know. Does he speak Latin?
A good example of a righteous, meek person is Cameron. Cameron, did you know that you were righteous and meek?
No. I don't think you're meek.
Well, see, Rachel and I both think the word meek has a negative connotation. But
meek with the Lord thing or meek with the meek thing? Yeah, I only
they don't mean meek like what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
They got some
sorry.
They got some Christian.
I'm trying to say that you are meek, the Bible
meek in the
way.
eyes of the Lord, like I'm not a adultering, I don't know, person who breaks commandments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And gallivants so much.
That's what I guess meek means.
I don't know.
All right, humble I could get behind as a positive value, but much more than meek.
Than meek. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to say. Is that why not humble instead of meek? But I don't think.
Well, meek's got a bad connotation nowadays, but it used to mean more literally just humble. You know, its meaning has kind of evolved over the years.
Yeah, because I mean, I can be pretty meek sometimes. Like, get me to a register and I don't know what's going on. I'm like,
Yeah.
Can you help me, please?
I guess I tried not to be so like out there, extra forceful, unless I had some great reason for it. If the house was on fire, I'd be like, get the fuck out really fast. But that'd be about the only time.
I think probably in the biblical sense, meek means non-conquering.
Yeah.
So were there a lot of like egotistical people?
Well, it was kind of like, do you want to do things Caesar's way, in which might makes right, conquering, or do you want to live in peace and not violate the rights of others? And obviously, the latter is a preferable choice. It's just that we don't think of the word meek meaning that anymore. But that's okay. I'll be meek. I'll be the meekest meeker in Meektown. You just watch, Jesus. Watch me go. I'm going to go meekly smoke a cigarette right now.
Does that mean how would a meek?
We'll find out. I'll have to explore.
I bet you before Molly's game, people thought that Toby Maguire was meek.
I mean, I never would have thought he was meek. I would have thought he played aw shucks guy, which I don't think it was being meek.
Oh.
And I would have thought in real life he was probably a douche, even before I saw that movie.
You have good instincts when it comes to that sort of stuff. I do not.
Well,
That's why I have to read about it.
I need to find a cigarette. Where are my cigarettes? I must have left them outside again.
Oh yeah.
I must keep leaving them outside. It's a fine place to leave them. That's where I smoke, after all. It's just that until I normalize that behavior, every time I go outside, I'll walk around this room 3 times looking for them before I remember I left them outside. I don't think we're going to get that. We don't get a variety of different delivery people around here. We've got like this car with 2 guys who comes and delivers stuff. We got the mailman woman. And then today we did have a UPS driver that I've not seen before. But I don't think they steal stuff because so many people have cameras.
Yeah,
Rachel and I went to a wedding cake and flower place in Oakhurst. The lady seems very capable. Very good TE she seems to have. Meek is gentle when you know you're strong. Okay, I can get behind that. 100%. I can get behind that 100%. That definition, fine. No problem. I'll get behind that. It's very good to be meek. That's an area I could improve on. I could be a little more meek. Of course, I'm not a knower, so it's asking me to predicate a way of being on an epistemology that's not, it's my 4th slot, So I'm not good at knowing that I'm strong. I'm pretty good at being gentle, but not very good at it. Sometimes I'm bad at it. Sometimes I'm not good at it at all. But it's important to have both conceptual frameworks inform one's being. And I could do a better job of knowing that I'm strong. It's hard because what I instead do is know everybody's equal and treat everybody the same. It's hard to have both those things concurrently, right? To know you're strong means to know that other people are not equal in some capacity. But since knowing is my 4th slot function, egalitarianism is a shortcut. I don't need to know about whether you particularly are strong or weak. I just need to be egalitarian and treat you the same as everybody else. and accept that I should be treated equivalently in equivalent circumstances by others. So it's a challenging question. There's no disputing that meekness is a virtue and a good thing. It should be promoted rather than negated, as defined by that thing. But whether or not it comes naturally to you or something you have to work on more, that may be linked to cognitive functions. Interesting conceptually. I like that definition. That's an operationalized definition. That's a good definition. You can do stuff with that definition, you know? Okay. Do we have to play inside outside kitty? Like right there I could have been I could have been meeker, right? Like I got frustrated because the cat keeps coming in and out and in and out and in and out. But I know I'm strong and the cat is just the cat, you know, so I should be nicer to her when I let her in and out. Of course, that's just my words to her. I still immediately jumps to her beckoning scratch to let her in. Well, I tell you what I don't like is when people don't operationalize definitions or engage in discourse that is intentionally avoidant of operationalizing definitions and or is willfully attempting to equivocate and use the same words to mean different things, and I hate that. I hate that so much. It's incomprehensibly bad. That's also the title of this live stream. It's not, though, hopefully, a description of this live stream. This live stream may be bad, but if it is, it's comprehensibly bad. You can understand this kind of badness. It makes sense. Well, it sucks in ways that make sense to me. But the other things that I'm talking about, they're incomprehensibly bad. It is not possible to understand how anything could possibly be so bad. Observant is another character thing. I mean, with that one, you're kind of asking somebody to possibly either just be as they naturally are, an observing type, or to change into something they're fundamentally not, an observing type. Unless it means like observant of the Sabbath, in which case, whatever, I don't have any opinion about that. That's fine. You know, if it's like a Christian thing that says be observant of like the Sabbath and God stuff, that's fine. But if it means be more of an observer, that's not very fair to the students. Like the reason I live stream so much is because I'm not very much an observer. I get tired of watching other people talk or say things or TV or whatever, and I want to be the one talking. Can typology and the Bible fit fine together? Yeah, sure. I mean, could you call entities of 16 distinct configurations of attention, a design, a the fundamental design of a human being? Sure. I mean, it makes more sense as something that's designed than it does as something that evolved. I don't have to commit a watchmaker's fallacy to say that. And it's if we had a clear uh, superior being of some sort out there making the claim that he had designed us and created us and providing us evidence that we could verify that he had done so, we would have vastly simpler explanations for everything. Would make perfect sense, right? Then distinct species that are resistant to ever adapting out of their fundamental genomic identity would make perfect sense. All these other things would make perfect sense, right? So you do have to consider that. But like, I'm not trying to make arguments in favor of or against existentiality regarding God, because such endeavor is foolhardy tomfoolery of the foolishest fools, of the sort the foolishest fools fool around with. So I'm not going to be doing that. Am I an evolutionist? No, evolution doesn't make any sense at all. It makes no sense. It is not. You cannot affirm it even as an explanation for anything because it won't establish what its fucking mechanism is. Every mechanism that's attempted to establish has been falsified. It's ridiculous. We don't know where species came from. That's the correct answer. We don't know. We don't have a good explanation. That species were created and individual instances of them placed here on the planet is not an explanation because it lacks the mechanism, right? We can't identify externally in empirical ways this individual creator. We can't ask them to explain the mechanism by which they did this. So obviously that's not an explanation, right? Neither is evolution. It's just as not much a non-explanation as God did it. But at least I could provide you criterion by which God did it would be a real explanation, as I did before, right? I can't provide you those kind of criteria for evolution because it doesn't make any fucking sense at all. I've never encountered a single person make any kind of argumentational ground progress in defense of evolution against anything I've said. And I'm objectively evaluating the argumentation that's gone on, right? There's not been a single person who's had any good answers to any of my questions, not a single person who's made any good affirmations that they could defend against my scrutiny. Not one time has it ever happened. And it's not like I've got a horse in this race. I don't give a fuck. I'd rather have an explanation than not have an explanation. But it's offensive that evolution even calls itself an explanation. Because it doesn't explain anything with any mechanisms that have not been falsified. So take that, evolution. I'll tell you, those evolutionary scientists better watch out before I evolve my dick in their butt. Yeah. That's called evolution. I mean, for one thing, this is not an argument I think I've really ever made before, but if evolution were correct, there'd be a math part to it that would make sense. Like they'd be able to link number of generations to speed of evolution or something. They'd be able to determine a genetic clock that actually works. You'd be able to it'd be some you'd be able to show that yes, this is possible mathematically with the population numbers rather than the opposite, which is you show that it's impossible. It would make some kind of mathematical sense intuitively rather than the opposite. If you think about it, if you get a population of pigeons, how are they supposed to evolve when there's so many of them? you know, the genome is obviously not changing. And people go, well, it used to be changing. They stopped evolving when they got to pigeon. Okay, but why? What's the mechanism? What's the mechanism of change? And what's the mechanism by which they stop changing? Is it simply population size? If so, then what kind of radical, totally unique, not just anomalous, but unique instances of radical positive mutations must have occurred for this to happen in a small population of things, and they have to be identical so they transfer on to the kids. It's insane. It makes no sense. If you are good at telling things that make sense, I mean, I get that most people are not, and I am very good at telling things that make sense. If you're any good at telling things what things make sense, you can tell evolution does not make sense. It doesn't withstand any scrutiny. It can't answer any of the questions. It would lose the debate round because it would be there on a cross examination stand, unable to answer any of the meaningful questions about the subject. Anyway, many of you have probably heard my rants about evolution before. It's crazy that something so wrong is so embedded in our society-wide belief system that somehow, like, if you don't agree with evolution, you're anti-science. If you do agree with evolution, you're not practicing anything that's scientific at all. Because if you evaluate the issue objectively, it has no legs whatsoever. It has as many legs as a legless person. Zero. And that's few legs. Get away. Mosquito. It's kind of amazing how few mosquitoes there are here. It's crazy. I expected so much worse of a mosquito problem.
Well, like, I don't remember activism being even a word when I was in anyone school. But
Activism.
what are you majoring in? Activism. Gonna make shit
I'm gonna be super guy and become an activist.
I'm majoring in Activision, the 1982 video game system that competed with ColecoVision.
Microevolution is misnamed. If you're talking about adaptation within a genome's elasticity, yes, that occurs, obviously. The problem is, it's a matter of not getting, something has to stay put, right? For a species to be distinct, it has to stay put within a certain genomic range. So obviously, species can't emerge from other species, but it's not just that definitional thing.
I'm like offended for you. I'm sorry.
I'll remove that. That's not very
That
nice,
isn't
Michelle.
very nice.
Okay, Michelle.
And also not very true.
It's not. I'm way more for it.
Michelle can be a little toxic sometimes.
Yeah. Like,
I wouldn't stress about it too much.
Believe me, I'm not stressed.
I think the issue is the vast majority of counters to evolution are by creationists who argue God is the alternative to evolution. The alternative to evolution is to tell the truth and say we don't know where species came from. It's like, I get it, that's frustrating not to know and not to have an explanation, but that's the truth of the matter. So, yeah, I agree that that's why evolution has been so persistent as a purported theory in academia, where usually bullshit. This fucking cat.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was like when you guys went away. Oh, sorry.
Get out.
She
Theo,
see you?
are you coming in or not?
Oh, it's you. It's not.
Yeah.
Trouble.
I don't know why.
Theo.
You want to try?
No, I want her to
Okay.
sit outside for a
Okay.
little while.
You're right.
Because she just stood in the doorway.
What the heck, Evie? She wanted you to go outside? Okay.
Hi, Keisha.
Hi, Evie. Yes. Good girl.
Michelle Way, I think you need to learn the difference between an anecdote and an insult. I agree that's the problem, Marge. It's been the problem since the start, is that this evolution debate was always framed through this religion science frame, because in the initial opposition to evolution was not from other scientists who thought about it and realized how dumb it was, but instead from Christians who objected to it because it was an alternate non-explanation to their non-explanation, which is just a very unfortunate reality. And because people generally evaluate things by heuristics, they say, well, science is the rational way to do things and religion's not, and therefore evolution must be correct, and because it's the alternative to a religious explanation. No, correctness is not done by heuristics like that. You have to evaluate things on their merits. And so that's the problem, is that most people are not qualified to evaluate argumentation on its merits. Almost nobody is, apparently. So it's kind of surprising. It's like it's maybe the most important science of all, and almost nobody can do it. It's weird. Whatever happened to um, whatever happened to forensics? The science of breaking down argumentation. It's just become criminal forensics at crime scenes now. Nobody even thinks forensics refers to anything having to do with speech or debate.
Oh, hello, Squire Bublingtons.
You hate retyping, huh? Well, just don't type it the first time. Then the second time it'll be just typing it the first time. That's one way to avoid retyping. I mean, the thing is, everybody is so attached to the various positions on various ideological things, religious things, societal things. People so much want to simplify their understanding of the world such that they're part of Mia group and have Mia sets of beliefs and stuff, that nobody is actually evaluating arguments correctly, nor are they making claims correctly, nor are they evaluating the claims of others correctly. Nobody's thinking well. No, Mr. Bobby. Like that, for example. like that. Like people say those things. And Mitch Robbie, you use that kind of argumentation when you're not joking. Sometimes, at least. Like people say things like, "You can believe whatever you want, but yeah, it's fact." That's not an argument. You're just saying, "I reject your alternate position as viable." If you understand what people are doing communicatively like that, then you understand what language is properly. You just gotta break it down to its functionalities in terms of a discursive event. You know, people use language for a reason. You're living proof of your parents having sex. Your basset was 95 pounds.
Wow.
2 weeks of dog park, he's down to 89.5. Well, congratulations,
Yeah.
Michelle. It's because most people make arguments or political views part of their identity. It makes it hard to ever change a view because people are attached to their identities. Right. But I mean, what I'm saying is, it that happens because for most cognitive function stacks, but also just for most sort of people's the result of people's educations and experience, language isn't viewed as an action. It's viewed as something else. You know, it's like there it's viewed as like I'm providing you information as I want to, or it's viewed as I'm establishing stuff about myself or about you or whatever. It's not viewed as an action that you're taking for your reasons, right? And and as a consequence, we don't distinguish between kinds of verbal actions, some of which require different kinds of reasons. So if you're going to make verbal actions that explain things, the teleology of it, the reason for the purpose of it, has to be to clarify and create understanding. And if you know your own purpose, then it's easy enough to see whether your language is fulfilling or upholding that value or purpose, right? If you think your purpose is to explain, but your purpose is really um, to persuade people that your controversial position is correct, then you end up doing this FE bullshit thing where you make statements, claims of things that are fact, but don't substantiate any of them, and just sort of take on the tone of somebody who's explaining something so that you invalidate the alternative perspective on it by positioning it as already decided point rather than something that's in dispute, so that none of the actual rhetorical work gets to be done. Once you acknowledge that a point is in dispute, then you can both make your arguments. But the problem is, most people want to say, no, the point is not in dispute. You're crazy for disagreeing with me.
Should I make something? Would you guys like
Oh, yeah.
noodles or? Don't worry about it.
I'm not hungry. I'm sorry.
I'm not really either. I just thought maybe. Are you hungry?
I'm sure I could grab a can of whatever. You don't have to worry about me.
You sure?
Yeah, there are plenty of options.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. I just saw the time.
Isn't that what cops do? Well, yeah, sort of. Cops sort of do that same thing. They make statements, position things how they want them positioned sometimes, and I mean, cops can do that, but usually cops will just ask questions if you're answering them. After all, they want you to incriminate yourself. So, it's like Jeff is what Jeff Shaw does is done more or less by burying people all the time, which is instead of actually being honest and saying let's engage discursively about this point that's in dispute and see which arguments are best. That would be a dialectic. We're not competing. We don't have our position. We're laying out the arguments for each thing and trying to figure out which one is actually superior, right? Instead of doing that, they pretend like the point's not in dispute, that they're an expert, that they know the definitive final position on the matter, and um, and just hope it just flies on tone, Of course, it never flies on tone with me. And right as you're answering their question, they cut you off and say, "Sir, please step out of your vehicle." Well, I guess that would depend on your answer.
Mm.
Do you have cocaine in your car? Well, that's a long story. Sir, please step out of your vehicle.
Yeah.
That's probably not the best answer to that question.
Sorry. No. There you go. Oh, there you are. This is fine.
Yeah, so it's frustrating to me seeing just how sloppy the thinking is that's going into like these kind of assignments and stuff because it's unavoidably just confusing the hell out of everybody, or mostly is what is making them think is justice means putting more people in jail, certainty means putting fewer people in jail, which is completely wrong and silly. Well, I agree with you that cops justify have a history of justifying searches, even very invasive searches, with specious justifications. Um, but I think that's less so now. I think the cops are prioritizing increasingly avoiding engagements with the public that aren't necessary. So, like, you don't see very many people getting pulled over anymore. In general, the cops just want to be like, if there's a crime, call us. Because when we try to do proactive policing, we keep shooting black people.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And everybody's gotten mad about that all this other stuff. Yeah.
PP went outside again.
Oh, good. Good. I'm glad she's decided to go outside again. I'm sure she'll stay out there for a long time. That cat. It's like I'm happy they're going outside more
Yeah.
with the warmer
Me
weather, and that they're integrating into the general yard and environment and stuff more. Also, it means less litter box to clean.
That's good.
But the downside is now we have to be doorman and doorwoman.
Yes.
Like, and I don't know, yesterday, the day before, maybe it was the day before Cameron got here even, I let Capillo outside, and then I was outside with her, and I was coming inside. I said, "Do you want to come inside? Do you want to come inside? Come on in. Okay, all right. Well, I'm about to go poop. Sure, okay. Close the door. Sit down. As soon as the poop starts coming out of my butt, scratch, 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 scratch. I'm like, Capillo, I can't right now. I got poop. It's just starting to come out. And then scratch, 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 scratch. It's like, oh my God. How frustrating can you be? I told you before I went to go poop, come in the house if you want it, because I'm going poop. And she just ignored me completely. And it's like, she just waited just long enough for me to sit down, settle in, poop just was coming out. Scratch, 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 scratch.
Yeah, it's very urgent scratches. It's not like.
Oh, yeah, I know. And you feel like, oh my God, I gotta
You
get
have
up.
to.
I have to open the door for it right now. She must be being chased by a bear or something.
I do the same. I like same thing.
No, I finished pooping. And I think I got up. I finished pooping. I did a partial wipe. Got up, opened the door, and came back and finished wiping. You know. But I don't like being rushed in my poops. I don't think anybody does, but I like to just ideally just let it ease its way out all by itself without me even having any pushing. Just gravity and natural bowel movements, right? Now, rarely do I get the exact poop I want, but regardless, I don't want to be rushed. Seems like the older I get, the more I think about my poop.
I think that's pretty accurate, though. Yeah.
Yeah. I probably thought about it a lot also when I was a little kid,
Mm.
like when I was first being potty trained or something. It probably occupied a lot of my attention then.
Trouble says, me too.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh well, that's a surprising end to your little anecdote there. I just ended up going to the building's restroom and I said, oh no, before I even read the end of the sentence. Well, congratulations, Mr. Bobby. That's called public bathroom lottery luck. You hit the jackpot. I had to go to pee in a bathroom at a restaurant today, and it wasn't too gross in there. But it certainly, I would have felt not nearly as happy about it if I had to poo in there. Um, you know, I think I do a pretty good job of saving all of my poos for home. Or like if I'm out of town, like in a motel room, I very rarely poo out in the world. Coming inside again, huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Madonna.
That's fine. She waited until you started to go. Okay. So anyway, I don't think this is going to be a long stream, but when I started it, I was mad at Jeffrey's school. I was a little mad at Jeffrey at the time too, but I'm not mad at him anymore. It's like I think I never finished telling the story. This dumbass lady coach at Jefferson who didn't want to give her kids actual coaching, right? They did get their asses whooped. Those kids were actually learning a lot. Mine, because why? I was cutting cards and making cases for them like a coach is supposed to. She thought somehow she was doing a better job educating her students by not coaching them, by making them do all their own work. They didn't learn anything, of course. That's not the way education works. Teachers are supposed to have the knowledge. They're supposed to provide it to the students, not help the student, encourage the students to discover the knowledge for themselves or something. That's why the Socratic method shit is just bullshit. Basically, Polytechnic has a rule that functions as you can't supplement the shitty education you're getting here by getting any good teachers to help you. I told them they should sue that fucking place. But if I really want them to do it, I'll have to write a letter for them and cite the law, cite case law as well, hopefully. Um, and find some comparable case that I can cite. That would probably convince Jeffrey's mom to actually do it. Whether I can find that on record, I haven't checked yet. I should check. Because, if I actually start researching it and see, I know basically what the violation is, what the law is violated, more or less, but I don't have the exact wording of it. I have to look at an idea and find the exact clausing that is pertinent. But if I could additionally find another case where somebody settled or won a verdict um, on the same grounds, then it's rock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels. That's what their lawyer will say, if that's the case. If I can find both, not only that they have direct standing and cite the federal law, but can also find case law where somebody else did the same thing. It's open and shut. So somebody else did the same thing and won. Polly wouldn't even go to trial. They just settle for $50 million or whatever. Rich school. Got deep pockets. And you should bankrupt that fucking institution. It's like, enough with your bullshit already. Why are you allowed to persist being so terrible without any consequences. That's not okay. That's school everywhere. It sucks so horribly. The only way you can get them is if they are so dumb that they say that Chloe can't go into the advanced math because of her health history. I mean, that's the thing about the lie. It requires a single bullet, not a grenade. And you just gotta have exactly the right caliber bullet for the right kind of gun, which is the court you're dealing with. And then it's money. If you have a grenade, all these problems with it, all these complaints, but no bullet of the right caliber, it doesn't mean shit. Much more difficult to establish a pattern of harassment than a single violation. And the law itself provides the theory shell for the critique. That's what jurisprudence is. Functionally, it's the theory shell for a debate critique. You know, a shell has the same kind of prima facie stuff. It's got like the rule or law, the violation, the alternative, etc. Those are not explicitly prima facie burdens in court, but they play out. Versions of them play out as burdens. Where's that weird sound I heard the other night too? It sounds like this. Ooh. Like maybe it could be a dog, but I'm pretty sure it's not. It's not that dog. It's a different sound. Trovo looks to be stalking something on the hill over here. He's got some small animal perhaps in his sights. Could it be a mouse? What you hunting, Trouble? He's not looking back at all. He's intent on his prey. Could it be a very, very small Sasquatch? I hear when Sasquatches are born, they're just this big. But their feet are like this big. So they're going to grow big. Sasquatches can be, their final size can be anticipated like that in the same way that puppies can by the size of their paws. Except, of course, with big feet, they don't have paws, they have feet. And they prefer to be called Sasquatches. Or alternately, big-footed person. Person of big-footedness. Person of exceptional foot size. Can you call me a person of exceptional foot size, please? Bigfoot is hate speech. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. It's okay. Me, Sasquatch. Sasquatch, you can't expect people to take you seriously if you won't use the correct pronoun form. You should use the nominative case there. Me, Sasquatch, using the wrong pronoun, there's no verb. It's just a mess. It's like you never went to grammar school. Okay, I'm done smoking. Now that's a dog howling. Maybe that other sound was just an aberrant dog howl that sounded different, but well, but it sounded different. I know what you're thinking. Sasquatch. That's actually not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking coyote. So, if you were hoping for me to say, I think that sounded a Sasquatch, well, I don't think that sounded a Sasquatch. But I do think it might have been a coyote. Sounds a little bit different than a dog.
Mm. Oh, gee.
You know what, Mr. Bobby? Allowing interspecies marriage between Sasquatches and humans is not enough. We need to force interspecies marriage between Sasquatches and humans. By which I mean, human men will get all the Sasquatch women. That's how a lot of integration stuff ends up working out. Like, do you know why miscegenation or whatever that word is was no longer a crime? It's because a white man sued some state for his right to marry a black woman and won. So that's how come it's not legal to make interracial marriage illegal anymore.
Mm. I didn't know.
Coyotes make crazy sounds. Well, that might have been a coyote I heard out there because it had an unusual kind of whooping howl. Maybe it got whooping cough. There's just a dog that has whooping cough. Looking pleasantly satisfied this evening? I'm feeling pretty pleasantly satisfied. I'm really happy with these little pills that I got here. They're, they're pleasing to me. They are not Adderall. They're not any kind of amphetamine, but they're an ADHD drug. And I find they work really well. Yes, Cameron is still here, Show Media. He's
Hello,
over
all.
there.
It's ravioli time.
He's eating ravioli and trail mix for dinner.
Yep. Yum.
What are they called? Let me find my glasses. They're called Stratera. Stratera. And I guess I Googled it, but I didn't really look into it much. It's a non-amphetamine ADHD drug. And like last couple of days, last few days, I guess, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I took Adderall and Stratera. And today I didn't take any Adderall. I just took Stratera. And I don't feel my normal post-Adderall, like, crash, tiredness. Yeah.
I'm gonna try it tomorrow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it does have one side effect that I can easily enough counter. It seems to give me a lot of stomach acid / heartburn. So I can easily remedy that with these antacids that I got at the store today for just $1 and something because we use Rachel's mom's CVS points. She's probably very aware of how many CVS. She's gonna be like, "What happened to that $10?" Well, she's getting credit for all the things we buy too.
Yeah.
So, yes, I have an Aunt Acid and an Uncle Mushrooms. I spend a lot more time with my uncle than my aunt. Apparently, Rachel and Cameron were having a conversation about people saying that mushrooms is the new marijuana.
I saw it on I don't know, some article or no, Vice News. That's it. Vice News had a thing.
Well, the thing is, I think it is only in one sense. I think it's the next drug to be broadly decriminalized.
That makes sense.
But Rachel and I were talking about it at lunch, and I said, for me, mushrooms the is the good version of alcohol.
Okay.
It makes me feel less inhibited and generally feel good, but it has many advantages over alcohol. Number one, if it's gonna make me puke, then it'll make me puke at the beginning. It won't punish me afterwards, like with a hangover,
Thing she was gonna hang out on it.
Okay.
Oh, silly Fifi.
And second of all, it has its own restraint built into it. Like it won't work if you take it more than every 3 or 4 days. So you can't just be on mushrooms all the time. And and it's really the only drug that I can generally rely upon to make me feel good. Other drugs like Adderall, it makes me feel sprung, but sprung and good are not the same thing. And like this Stratera, it makes me feel like awake, energetic, sort of. Despite being tired, I'm still feeling kind of energetic. But it doesn't really have any like drug sweat effects. There's no tingles that go along with it, or like dopamine rush. It's weird. I like it. Anyway, mushrooms though usually make me feel good. If I do them at the right time, I'm pretty much guaranteed to make me feel good. With mushrooms, it's a negotiated settlement. They say, okay, today's a good day for you to do mushrooms. You waited long enough. You aren't trying to force fun on something unfun. You aren't. You deserve to do mushrooms today. If that's the case, then I'll usually have a wonderful time on mushrooms and won't have any problems. If somewhere in my heart I know I should wait until tomorrow, but I don't, then I'll probably feel vomity or have much more discombobulation or generally not have everything go perfectly. Even when things don't go perfectly, I almost always have a good time on mushrooms. But you know, you, it. I've gotten a lot better at negotiating my consumptions with the mushroom gods. I, there appear to be, as far as I can tell, some sort of council of mushroom gods who decide, along with you, in your truest heart of hearts, whether or not you should take mushrooms right now. Billy Dean is not my lover, show media. And the kid is not my son. Um, okay. Well, I think I'm going to wrap up this streamerini. I'd like to not stay up too late tonight. I stayed up very late last night. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep. So, um, I didn't nap today. And I'd like to feel refreshed in the morning, you know. So, because Cameron and I have on tap planned a little woodworking project, which we will probably stream and invite you guys to participate along with. Uh, we'll see how that goes tomorrow. So, thank you very much. And don't forget to eat plenty of cheese and to be cool.
Even powdered cheese.
Yeah, even powdered cheese.
Better than nothing.
Parmesan, ricotta.